Welcome to the Moon, episode 11. Here I am just returning back into the base and going ahead and I'm going to print up 2 more station batteries to put on the roof. And so we'll double up the number of batteries, give us a little extra reserves. We're getting a lot of charging during the day and we're wasting a lot of that power. So we'll throw another battery on there, and then with the one set of batteries will run upper level and the other set will run the lower level, so we'll split the power usage. Now that I have the base greatly expanded, and I may be doing a little bit more work, but mostly there, I'm going to move all the some of the gas processing into the basement level. Specifically, the processing of gas from the furnace that I split into CO2 and nitrogen on the platform. I will move that down there. So I'll keep the furnace for now on the platform. It's kind of convenient. And then I'll just run a pipe down, and then I'll be able to disassemble a lot of that stuff up there. Then I'll actually add a smart cooling system for the gas. It's pretty close to the design I'm currently using inside here, or actually it's down in the basement now for cooling the in-room atmosphere. The difference is that it'll be a closed loop system, basically connecting the filtered CO2 to a set of pipes that are outside with radiators, and then as before I'll have a digital valve between the two, so if the gas inside is getting a little too chilly, then we'll just close that digital valve. And to prevent the gas remaining in the pipes on the outside from liquefying or freezing, we'll go ahead and pump all that gas back inside. This time I'll use a turbo pump versus using a standard pump, and the reason for that is that the gas will be at a much higher pressure, so I don't want to do a slow transfer, because as the gas pressure drops, there's less moles, it cools out even faster, so there's a higher risk during a slow transfer of liquid or ice forming, particular ice forming. So I figure with a turbo pump, turn on full bore, it'll pump it out quite quickly to prevent that issue, at least in theory. It will also use a bunch of radiators, far more radiators outside for cooling purposes. So I'm printing waiting for the second one to finish printing. And then the cold nitrogen, I'll just set up a heat exchanger between the CO2 and nitrogen and just cross cool the two. And that keep that simple. So effectively I keep the CO2 cool, and then I'll use heat exchangers to sort of have the next one cool from the CO2, and if I add more different types of gases, I'll just continue that through. So I only need one system for doing the cooling. And then once I have that set up, then I can do automatic CO2 injection from the basement. So doing this manual injection of CO2 will stop. And since I'll also be collecting nitrogen, I'll also set up the same thing, and it'll also be able to inject nitrogen for the soybeans, although that won't be for a while. All right, so we're gonna do a little refactoring up here, move things around, and let's speed and cut off the word up. So running at 2.5x right now. So effectively what I'm doing, I'm moving the daylight sensor and the housing over to the center, and then for powering it, I actually will run a cable from the airlock up, so I won't need the APC. So here I'm just going to tap off of here because there's already an APC down here for providing a little buffer of power. So we'll just run that cable up, and then once we get this moved over, that frees up room next to the battery to the right, and I can add another one across it. And then on the other side, I'll go ahead and move the wireless Omni transmitter, and then move the beacon And we'll put those back over once we have them. They'll still remain on that side of the base next to the building there, next to those batteries that are off the main power. Now I'm still running all this off standard cables, so I'm kind of pushing the edge here. I have 10 solar units, and technically they could, if everything was perfect, generate 500 watts each. And that would work out to be 10 times 500 is 5,000, which is just at the threshold of the cable and burnout. But there's always a little bit of inefficiency in there. I'll probably never get full 500 out of each one of them. Even then, if you had a full 500, that's still 5,000, not 5,001. So now I do print up a bunch of heavy cables with the plan to upgrade all these cables to heavy. That allows me to add additional solar units if I need to later. But I don't get around to just doing the upgrade yet. So, but yeah, at some point I will upgrade them. But they sort of work now, and so it's just if it works, it works. Good demonstration of running 10 solar panels off of lightweight cable. If I add one more, yeah, then I would definitely need to go heavy. So I do print the cable. It's on the thing to do list to upgrade the cables there, and then that makes it easier later on to add more power. All right, so just kind of looking at everything. All right, so we got double batteries on each side, double batteries on that side. You take the chance of cool. So I'm kind of looking at where to place the beacon. And originally I put the beacon here, but it's not as convenient to turn the button on and off. And so wiring, and I actually turned out and swap it with the Omni transmitter. Kind of look at this and go, well, let's pop this out. We'll pop this out. They're pretty fast, and then we'll just swap them. Because this one I really don't need access to. And put this one here, a little easier. I'm considering building something up and mounting it higher, but I don't get to that yet. I'm not sure exactly what kind of design I want. I don't have to use the beacon that often. I mean, typically I can see the base unless I get really, really far away. And we need some more standard cable. I'm running out down to one cable, man. Here's my heavy cable for the future. And our pile of electrical equipment. I'll just stick over here. I think I print up some more housings and chips, not forgetting that I have some housings and chips sitting over there. So the other thing we need for the gas process, we need to print up a bunch of small insulated tanks. We'll need a bunch of piping. We need some atmospheric units. We'll need some filters for those, and then we need all the equipment for building the cooling system, which is going to be a couple pipe analyzers and digital valve. We'll use a turbo pump to move that gas more quickly. And a lot of plumbing going on. And so the goal is to get this thing fully automated. So by getting the gas process moved inside, automate the cooling. Like right now, I just kind of plop a radiator on top of a pipe outside, and that's all manual. So we might want to get this all automated, so I don't have to worry about it anymore. So then by next episode, we'll have the CO2, nitrogen cooling, and injection into the atmosphere automated. Now, generating that CO2 will be a manual process through the furnace outside, and we'll just take the waste gas we don't need and send it through. And for generating long term, we'll probably go ahead and run burn plants, I guess, and generate CO2. Or we can generate volatiles and oxygen and burn it and get CO2 and burn it, for power or whatever, and just use the waste gas for pulling the CO2. So that shouldn't be too much of a problem. We're kind of working through the automation pyramid per se. And this will also clean up a lot of this stuff outside here, because I can rip a lot of this. The filters get pulled out of here. I'm looking through some of the stuff I have. It's nighttime, so I can go ahead and do some smelting, make some more steel, and double checking those switches after make sure everything is what we expect. Okay, I'm going to do some smelting. I'm going to speed this up since I think you've seen this before. Okay, this is at 3x. I'm too lazy to put a text overlay saying 3x. This is actually quite nice. You throw a little bit. I throw like 10, or I think I threw 8 oxide in and 16 volatiles, and I don't have to worry about degassing. I just, it's enough gas in there and heat. I can do multiple steel runs. I can smelt a whole bunch of silicon, and and then all this waste gas, we just send it. Well, soon we'll send it downstairs, but we'll send it into the other tanks and pull it all out and cool it down. So, this is pretty simple to do on the moon here. And even if it drops temperature slowly, we just go and just get this done with. So. Yeah. I'm going to, at some point on my list, do a bunch of super alloys. I'll need the super alloys when I build the robot arm at some point. And if you watch my robot farm automation video, the space that I built it in might look very familiar. It's actually, I used the basement area here. Just made a copy of the last save and just used it to set it all up, since I had a control environment going on here. Versus, building a whole new one out from scratch just for that purpose, which is always time consuming. All right, so we got a whole bunch of steel and other stuff that's useful. So I think the only issue I have with mining is, at least on this seed, is nickel. Nickel can be hard to find. I think everything else, and cobalt is a little, difficult, can be difficult to find, and nickel. Cobalt kind of shines once you're digging around, you look around, you can see the cobalt. Nickel have a little more problem finding it, but if you're playing a moon scenario and you're mining, especially early game, and you find any nickel, just, as I said before, throw everything else out of your backpack and just collect all that nickel and cobalt, because when you really need to find it, then of course you won't be able to find it. So you happen to find it, because the other stuff, copper, iron, all that stuff, it's simple enough to find. All right, so I finally got tired of dumping out one of my printers, and so I can break my steel up in smaller pieces. So I was looking for a place to put it, but I guess it kind of fits here. It's not really in the way for the most part. It gets a little bit away for the drinking fountain, but okay, compromises. And I'm starting to use double click more for moving the tools around. I still do it manually, but I've been practicing double clicking, and see right there, I double clicked it, and so that was the suggestion. So I've been working on the muscle memory to do the double click. So yeah, definitely recommend the double click. I don't use it for everything, but for the tools, the double click them back and forth, that works out very well. Also hold down the Alt key most of the time when I drink water. And go to our nice little pile over here. And the reason why I don't like load up the printers with a whole bunch of stuff, because I'm always afraid of starting a print and forgetting it and have like, 30 atmospheric units up here. Now sometimes I'll kind of like gauge, I'll look how much is in there and how many it's going to make, and if that's like fine, I can just wander away. So another feedback I received and is the lighting, because there's a tunnel effect using the headlamp or the suit light. And, for me, since I'm used to it, I sort of ignore it. You phase out certain visual items. So I am going to work on improving lighting in here. I make a little progress downstairs, and I'm not sure how to run the lights up here, because I don't want them going across the glass up there. I think I'll just put small lights in the corners and kind of run the wires, I guess, down the wall. And I'm going to run some temp lights down in here, so this will be a little more visible. So initially I'm just going to pop this in here, but I will put some lights down in here and just for now turn them on and off, and then I will set up automation for that. That's another reason for upping the battery power upstairs, because I plan to run more lighting down here or in the base in general, which will consume power. So this is the CO2. We put a filter and the CO2 tank. So basically the raw gas runs in here, we filter it, and then what it doesn't filter will go into this next one, which will be nitrogen, goes in that tank, and then what's left over, like we do now, we'll just toss it outside. Yeah, there's a little bit of O2, a little bit of nitrox. The nitrox I'm worried about because it liquefies at a pretty high temperature, so I don't want to mess around with that right now. Now this is that second set of batteries. We're going to run this cable down through the flooring. Now fortunately this is a solid flooring, so I can pull this out and run the wire down the frame. Typically I don't like doing this, but in this scenario it's I think the right solution. So we'll just kind of run it down here and then put it back in. Fortunately, this is I like to have a full basement down here. Advantage of a full basement, you can always just pop a hole and run stuff up and down. So you can run cables up and down, pipes up and down without a problem. And weld this back up. I'm not sure they're putting that little niche hole there. I got to think about something. Need to do a suit rack. I got some lights we're making. If I can spell, let's go ahead and get another filter for my suit. Oh, I know. I need these two for the. I need one for my suit, and I need two more for the atmospheric units. Okay, lots of lights. So building lots of lights, definitely, I may not use all your feedback, but after looking at it, I definitely need to improve the lighting effect a bit more. So that's definitely on the list, and that's one reason why I updated the power supply upstop, so I can run a lot of lighting in here. Now, I do get the feedback of running a portable lamp. Just put it in my suit or backpack. I noticed when I do that, I get a lot of glare off the printers. So some things, because it puts out a lot of light, and when I get close to something, I get a lot of glare, and it kind of washes out the equipment, so that any atmospheric unit or the printer, you just can't see anything because it all does that. And unfortunately, so because of that, and I can't even see sometimes because there's so much light coming out of it. So I think the best thing is just me to put the ceiling lights in and go that route. And then with the ceiling lights, then that doesn't it's not a problem. And then if I get all the lights correctly, then I don't need to wear a headlamp anymore in the base. And that will kind of solve the lighting problem. Okay, so we're going to do a little mining run, getting kind of thin here. The little solar units continue to go. Oh, by the way, it's possible about the solar stuff I use is not perfectly optimized, but it works fine, so we're going to leave it for now. There is somebody has a really good video on doing moon solar tracking with two simple logic chips. It's a reader and a writer. You must position the solar panel. I believe the port faces 270, and the port and the daylight sensor must be mounted on a vertical surface, not a horizontal. So if you mount those correctly, you can basically just, I think, read the horizontal and just read it and write it, and everything works out. You don't need math there. So it's a very, very simple system. And I should track down the link but I probably search on, moon, solar, or something like that. And it took about a 15-minute video and using two simple chips you can track on the moon. Now, since I had the longer script from the Vulcan run, and I want to put the solar panels any direction, I just used what I had. And by that time, I already had the chips going. And early on, I just used the gas generator, which gave me plenty of power. Yeah, see, I got that gas container up there. You need to do something with it at some point. Okay, we're gonna swap our battery here. It's a little low. Yeah, something else I plan to start doing here pretty soon. I think we're gonna organize, or we'll speed this up. So I had the number 3 option in my suit displayed, which has, my O2, CO2, battery, and filters and all that. And that's mostly because of the, playing Vulcan and long ago Venus, where you really have to keep track of that stuff. But on the moon, it's not really that precise. So I'm going to start getting used to just leaving that turned off and look for the warning levels, because when the warnings hit, I still have plenty of time. And then I enter the base often enough to take my suit off and I double check it. So we're just checking here the temperature. So it's getting a little cooler. And so the automation will replace all this stuff here. So now I still also have my CO2 filling going on out here, my jetpack filling out here too. I need to do something with that. I actually could go back to filling nitrogen. I have a lot of that, but I'll stay with CO2 because it's typically easier to attain. Okay, we pop our suit off. I don't think I've seen a hygiene warning once in this run. Yeah, I really should get a second O2 tank and just swap them. That way I can swap them if my suit's on and not, do the oopsie where I have my suit on and forgot I had it on, then I pull out the O2 bottle and get the out of O2 error. Trying to organize my tool belt here. Probably really don't need to carry around the heavy cable. It's pretty specific when I need to use that. Okay, we got some lights, we got some cables. We're gonna look into the pile here, anything we can reuse. Lights. So I'm gonna trim a bunch of pipes. So these pipes will actually be outside. So I'll run like a insulated pipe that pops outside, and then I'll run the non-insulated outside with radiators on. Same thing I've done with the other one. Now I actually have a pile of housings in my electrical pile, which I noticed during voiceover. Well, I do plan to automate a lot, so I guess I'll use them at some point. Yeah, I gotta deal with my my greenhouse over there too. I got plenty. Just checking right now. We still do this manually, so we've got plenty of nitrogen and plenty of CO2. We'll just give a little bit more while we're here. Yeah, soon all that'll be automated, so no more manual turning the valve. Yeah, I have some plans for the hydroponic area. I'm not going to have it so dense like it is now, like it's all packed in. So I think I'm going to have like the... I'm actually going to plan to extend the base by one frame, I believe. That gives me room to kind of shuffle the hydroponic stuff around without having to, you know, rip it all out and with no plants. So I think if I just add another row and then sort of like slowly migrate to a new design. So effectively, like, you know, next to the far wall, we'll have one row and then two empty, and then two rows and two empty, and or maybe three empty between the rows, just so I can get in there and maneuver and not have this big pile of plants everywhere. Okay, this is the pipe, this is the wire from upstairs. So I'm going to run a wire, we'll run the wire down this way and around, and then we can tap the lights off of this, and that will brighten this up a little bit. Let's speed up this construction sequence. Okay, this is 2.5x. So basically, we're gonna run a cable down this way. I popped that door open just so I can see how that went. I left that there just so I didn't kind of like pop it off and then go, oh darn, where did that cable go? So, all right, so now we're gonna try to decide how kind of lights we're gonna put here. So these initially won't be automatic. We're just going to push the button manually for now, and just to improve the lighting while I'm working down here. Yeah, the problem with the sensor is sort of like the room, and this floor and the top floor are actually considered one room. I need like area lights, but I don't think they have. You can monitor if you're in a particular frame, I believe. So basically, it's per frame or per entire floor. Now I put walls in with sort of a door that always open to sort of define additional rooms. And maybe I'll do that. Maybe I just need to go and, you know, have these areas defined out with like glass walls, just so you don't have this one massive thing. But that might interfere with the gas movement around. Being all one room, I think the gas moves a lot faster. So. Yeah, plants are going kind of wild over there. And obviously from my robot video, I do plan to put some automation for farming. So basically the other side where I put all that gas processing, on the other side of that, you know, behind it, in fact, on the other side, we'll have the robot stuff, which is effectively where I placed it for the video. So here I am kind of playing around with the light, going, you know, I put it here. Now the problem is I have part of the roof covered with solar panels, so I can't, you know, use that area. So I'm thinking, well, you know, I put them like that, and then I, you know, put one there, and then kind of run the cable down. Can't put any more here, but maybe this is enough over here. And I don't actually wire these up. I'm kind of thinking about this, so. And then like I can run the wire down the center keep it out of the glass, and then I wanted to run the wire back, but I meant to run the wire forward and then come up someplace, you know, down the wall, like down there, and come down the wall, hit the floor area to light it up. So I'm kind of looking at how I'm going to run this wiring. And maybe that light should be on the other side of that beam because it'll be more central. Yeah, probably move it over. So yeah, I definitely want to add a bunch of lights in here, and I just haven't decided how to do that. This is one of the problems of using, you know, wall units for ceiling is, you know, you can have conflicts like this. If I use frames instead, so if I pull all that out, which I really don't want to do, and put frames there, that would help solve that problem. That would move everything up a bit higher on that. I mean, at some point I'm thinking I'm going to move the solar somewhere else off the building, so then I'll freeze up that space, but that's still a little bit off. Yeah, so I think the general priority is, okay, so what we're working on, we'll automate, you know, cooling and filtering of CO2 and nitrogen. We'll automate injection of CO2 and nitrogen. Then we need to automate the extraction of O2 out of the area so we don't have too much O2, and it'll help drop the pressure a little bit and make sure we don't go too crazy there. And I think at that point I need to set up a suit rack, you know, fully wired out, because we'll have the O2, and I have to figure out where to put it and how to run all the piping. Since all this stuff is here, I can run it up the wall. Worst case, I can punch a hole through the floor there and run pipes up, because here's the CO2, here's nitrogen. I don't need nitrogen. I'll put the O2 maybe right to the left of this, and just have it, you know, and that way I can run all those pipes straight up and or down the ceiling, and put the chute rack upstairs. And this pipe going outside is just the exhaust of, if it's not CO2 and nitrogen, it just gets dumped outside. Kind of look at how everything's going to lay out here. Gotta pull some of this pipe back off again. I'm just putting it, so this will be the basically the raw gas, where it comes from. Yeah, I do plan to paint all this at some point. Part of that problem is it has pollutants, and I probably should have a filtration unit pulling out pollutants anyway in the environment. I do plan to set that up to pull you know, pollutants and volatiles out of the room, and just, you know, anything it might collect by accident, just dump them outside and keep that running all the time. I think short term, when I get ready to painting, I think I'm just going to put a bunch of walls around this section, set up one of those large vents, dump the atmosphere just in this small area into the tank. That brings it to a vacuum. Then go ahead and punch a hole to the outside, do all my painting, make sure, you know, the pollutants make it outside, put the wall back up, dump the gas back into the room, and then pull the other wall, pull the inner walls off. Yeah, kind of a pain. Maybe just simpler, just put up the filtration device. And I just don't like having any pollutants in the space, even, you know, one molecule. I guess we'll just see how that goes, but that's not this episode. And this is the vent that goes outside, so I need to vent the yucky gas out there. Got a lot of pipes. And this is why we do a lot of mining. Yeah, I need to think about switching the filters. We'll stay with the cheap filters for now, but at some point I'll switch over. I think by the time I need to replace these, I'll be ready to switch over to heavy filter. I have the stuff. I can make the super alloys. It's just sitting down and doing it versus other priorities. And we need 2 for nitrogen. Let's see. So once we have O2 collected, I think the so basically we have a stable interior environment. I think the next thing to do is put up the robot farming, and that'll match the scenario and get that going. Because now the environment is stable and protect, and maintain. Notice I didn't swap the wrong ones. Just making sure we got power. We have no gas. They're not going to do anything. Now, these filtration units, they'll actually have, not in this episode, but I'll put chips in them. And the chips do a couple of things. One, they'll actually handle injection. So because they have access to, a lot of the connection to the tank of gas, like the CO2 one has access to the CO2 tank, it knows the pressure and temperature of that gas. And then I'll just put a gas sensor in the room, and then I'll attach a volume pump. So one of the data ports have a volume pump, and so basically it'll monitor the room. If the CO2 is low enough, it just turns the pump on and just pumps it out of that big CO2 tank into the room, and then I'll replicate that with nitrogen. It'll also have some protection built into it. So if the either output pipe exceeds 30 megapascals, it'll stop running. Also, to avoid, I think those pipes are I can pull those pipes off. I forgot about that. So those pipes over to the right, they don't do anything because I moved the all that stuff downstairs, and that's the old pipes I have sitting there. I kind of ignore that. So I probably should do a cleanup pass. So this will be the pipe that'll have the gas. Yeah, running this little pipe a little too early. I need to get the cooling system put in before I did all this work to see how everything kind of. I do double click there. See everything pipe fits in there. So I think I make some changes. Because that big tank right there should be empty. I think I double check it. Yeah. So it's empty. We haven't done anything useful lately. Empty. And everything got moved into the tanks or dumped outside. So it's safe to take. And I got a ton of gas, a ton of CO2 sitting up here, and a ton of nitrogen sitting up here. Now, I don't really consume nitrogen at this point. It's just been accumulating that tank. But we don't need these anymore. So we'll speed up this assembly process. So this is at 2.5. So we're just gonna pull everything out. We double check all the gases so we don't leverage any magical gas vanishing in this scenario. We'll put the old filters over here. They're pretty much worn out. They got close to replacement anyway. I should have checked those a little more often. I think I was a little too aggressive removing a lot of stuff out here. I actually put a tank back up here for the furnace. So I do, in this episode, I do come back and fix all this stuff up a little bit. So, and what I want to do to the furnace, I put its own tank back, and I put a one-way valve that connects it to the stuff downstairs. The reason for that is there's scenarios where I want to maybe preserve the gas locally and reuse it, because there's a number of scenarios where you need a lot of gas, but it may not have to be super hot, and you just want to control the pressure. So you need some place to move it back and forth. And with the valve turn on it, if it's just cool a little bit, I can shut the valve off so the filtration unit down there is not sucking all the gas out while I'm trying to do something useful. Now, a nitrogen, I don't do in this episode, but next episode, I'm just going to plug it into that main line, suck it back downstairs, run it to the CO2 filter, run it to the nitrogen filter, and just store it in the nitrogen tank. Yeah, I could probably do something fancier and bypass the filtration, but I'm not going to bother. It's just simpler just to... And I'll put a one-way valve on it so the gas from the furnace doesn't mix with it. I'll just tap it into that main line and let it go down. And when it's empty, then I'll just take it off. So it's just easier that way. And to the right of me will be the future robot farming area. So it's a little more brighter down here because it's lights. So yeah, they definitely help. I need to put another row of lights in here, but this is at least make this part of the video a lot nicer. And yeah. In the future, I will, even future video series, I will try to prioritize lighting. I may play around with the in-suit lighting a little bit more, but okay, so we're done with this for now. We got to make print and stuff for the cooling system. We need to deal with that. Yeah, I got chips. All right. Kind of sitting here to decide what I should focus on first. Hit the L key for light, and we'll eat some French fries. And hold down the Alt key for instant drink. Okay. So we got another light there. And a little nicer out here. Yeah, like I said, I know how to make a hot furnace, enclose it so it doesn't lose temperature, but really, to this point, it's not been an issue. So here I am dumping. Now, I'm making a mistake right now. You can guess the mistake I just made? Fortunately, it's not. And why I'm actually in the game, that 75 megapascal didn't really register with me because I just didn't consider it getting too high, but that pipe doesn't go anywhere. I took the main tank off. All right, so we're going to do some, I found some nickel, so we're going for the nickel. We need nickel, some of the super alloys and other stuff, so. Nice little view of the base. It's a little cleaner up here. Yeah. And you probably noticed that the pipe is broken, but right now I didn't notice it. I do notice it later on. Actually, I might not notice it in the next episode. I've actually recorded part of the next episode, so I might get parts of them mixed up. Okay, we're going to sort. And we'll crank this up to 2.5 for the exciting sort time. And we'll be smelting a lot of this. Yeah, I said I want to make some super alloy just on the list. I got a lot of stuff I can make steel from, though. That's good. I want to do a really, really big batch of stellite when I do that, so I want to make this, because it's kind of a pain. So I'm like a bunch of cobalt. It needs cobalt, silver, and silicon. So I got a lot of that. Yeah, still not grokking. In fact, I broke that tank. Yeah, so next episode I'll fix this up and deal with that. Extra iron in my tool belt. Yeah, so this was about an hour, originally an hour and 10 minutes of capture, but we're down to about 46 minutes because of all the speed up sections. So we're going to end it here. Until next episode, see ya.